Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. So we just had this conference. It was very successful. A lot of very interesting things happened. What was your highlights?
Oh, well, probably a couple things. The first thing that stands out is when we dismantled the male filter, the filter that we all walk around in, whether we have a female body or a male body. It's the filter that we see each other through. I like that one. We started to dismantle that. And then the energy of the whole weekend was very different. We've done a lot of conferences, and this one was different in some way. It was settled, it was still. It's as if people prepared before they got there. And when we all arrived, we were ready to work. And then the other thing that I really enjoyed, and I'm noticing that people are commenting on this on Facebook, is this new tool or concept called being invisible.
Yeah.
And it's more than just being in your space. It's more than being centered or grounded. It's being invisible, which is different than disappearing. Two different things. Disappearing is way different than being invisible.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was probably the biggest highlight, I think.
Yeah. So there are a couple things. That aspect of the male filter. This is actually very much part of a recognition, an unconsciousness that we walk around in. Just, I see you. It would be as if you had a piece of red, transparent plastic in front of you, and that's how you saw the world. And because it was what it was, you never questioned it. It is really very much the illusion of the third dimension. And so when we start to play in this space, this removing the filters that allow you to see the illusion of the third dimension.
Well, let's talk. I want to talk more about this because I still don't have my hands around the male filter and how I experience it in my life. So since the conference, I've been more aware of where do I see people, or where do I see the world through this filter, and I can't quite identify moments. So what examples?
So it's hard because it's all you know. So there's no distinction, there's no reference that basically would say this is an X and this is a Y. Now what makes this going to be very interesting to play with is what you said last, which is that recognition of this word invisible. Now invisible's not really the direction we're going. But when the word invisible to a person, if I said be invisible, there'd be many people who would understand that because it's how they have been safe. They hide, they withdraw, they avoid, they pull in.
That's the disappearing.
I don't want to be seen.
Yeah.
So that's the invisible side of it from really a negative standpoint, or negative, I'm not safe. But we're not playing in that side of it. So if I said to you, kind of everybody, right where you're sitting right now, just take a breath and be invisible to the room. What happens is there's a tightening of the energy. You might even find that when you get really tight, you stop breathing. You're going to find that in that moment, it's as if your eyes get big because you get really precise, clear about what's going on. But what makes this so important in terms of the filter is in this space, you begin to step into a level of awareness where we play in Mastering Alchemy. It's kind of called that fifth layer of thought. It's a layer of thought where you are very clear, and yet you're even thinking, but you're not thinking in words. You're not saying, see the dog jump in your head. You're just perceiving. But it's in this place of becoming aligned, which is a much more appropriate word than invisible, and getting very clear about what's going on. You're going to start to find that that male filter is going to be a knowing at first, meaning you're going to know this is not where I want to play, or this is different, or this is something I have always done but I don't always have to do anymore.
Well, and I think this ability to be invisible has value in a lot of situations. So for example, at the conference, we did the invisible tool, and then we went to lunch, and you told everybody be invisible during lunch. And so after lunch, someone came up with this story and said, so I went to lunch, and I'm standing in my being invisible at the counter ready to be seated, and there's two other people standing right next to me, arguing and upset and just angry and grumbling, and those two people were so in their thing, this other woman was completely invisible to them.
Yeah. In this space also, you expanded. We've done this as an exercise with people in the past, and you can go to the mall and just stand right in the middle of the mall, and people will bump into you. You know, they just don't see you. Now, part of it is they're not aware, but more of it is you just simply begin to be so quiet and so clear in your own space that there's not a lot of vibration, the noise of the world. And it's in that space that you're going to begin to become very masterful. You start to notice how you step out of the way of, in a matter of speaking, not somebody bumping into you, but you really begin to perceive the world moving around in a way that's not who you are, but with that male filter and all of the configurations that go with it, very subtle, not understandable because it's who I am. You're going to start to find ability to distinguish between some aspects of the male filter, the illusion of the third dimension, and who you are in the process.
And I'm guessing that playing with being invisible, like you were saying, it makes you observe the world in a much clearer way. As we play more with this, my guess is that not only will we be able to do that, we'll be able to see what's coming toward us from down the line.
Oh yeah, this is a really big point. So when you get that quiet, and we can talk about this another time, but time becomes part of this whole experience. And see, this is again part of the illusion. We think we move through time. We move through today and then into tomorrow and then into the next day. When in fact you get this quiet in this stillness, you start to recognize that you don't move and time moves through you. And when that concept begins to be understood, which is, we'll do this another time, that concept allows you to start to recognize things out in front of you a day, a week, and I can perceive them coming towards me in a manner that's very different than, oh no, I have a problem in 2 weeks.
And that's clairvoyance.
Oh, very much. It's your clairvoyance, it's your clairaudience. Let's call those skills intuitions and lump them all together so they function as a unit, not as an independent, are you clairvoyant or clairaudient or telepathic. And so those tools in this clear, present, quiet, invisible space become something that allows the skills that you have to be useful to you most of the time. It's a very interesting place.
And it's fun.
Well, it's fun because it's who you are. And it's when you are who you are, all the noise, the arguments, the relationships, the job, they all of a sudden have a perspective in relationship to who you are in this space we'll call invisible. But really be clear, it's not invisible as in fearful, hiding, avoiding, running away, which is something that many people understand that word being because they have been punished or they've been terrified in life. But we'll play with this a little bit more as we kind of have maybe a couple more conversations.
Let's do that.
But this is really good. So, have a nice morning.